This is Wright Brennan, and this is another episode of Lost in the Midlands. And I'm excited to be here with Donna Muszynski, founder of GF3, Good Food, Good Feet, and Good Friday. Really cool. You're a certified Master Pedicurist.
Yes.
And owner of Miss Good Feet.
Mrs. Goodfoot.
Mrs. Goodfoot. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored and humbled to have received the call to come answer some questions for you and share what we're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we've heard a lot about you from, Jada Willis with Willis HR and Keith Harris with MarketBite. They were telling me about how cool your operation is. So I'm really excited to get into some of those pieces. Can you tell us a little bit about your business, kind of your journey through that?
Yes. Well, my licensure is under the Board of Cosmetology as a nail technician, just like any other nail salon should be licensed. But I saw a need early on in my career for foot care. So I had a background in nursing and just took this path to seek out more education and how I could specifically use the tools that I was given with the education I had from nursing to further more advanced nail care. And that's what started Mrs. Goodfoot about 10 years ago. So we focus on diabetic and geriatric foot care, but along with that, there are a number of people who are just looking for a holistic, sanitary pedicure. They want to know that the place that they're going is educated and clean, and so we see a lot of healthy feet in our business as well.
Very cool. It sounds like you have a very unique business.
Yes.
That is really cool.
Yeah, we definitely have a nation. We receive a majority of our business from podiatrists, internists, diabetic specialists who refer their patients to us for their foot care.
Okay, very cool. And can you tell us a little bit of about the GF3 program, kind of how that started, a little bit of that journey?
Yeah, so early in my nail career, when I was still doing like all the aesthetic stuff that all the other nail salons do, I'd spend a lot of time downtown doing various chores, but I would encounter this gentleman who I'd always see walking. And if you live in Columbia, you've seen him. His name's Tony. He went by the nickname Shy, but everywhere I'd go, I'd see him walking. And it occurred to me one day when I was watching him walk, I was sitting at the red light, that he was probably walking to his meals, wherever they had breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on what time of day it was where I'd see him walk. And he had on a big parka and like all his layers of clothes, but his shoes looked like they were 2 sizes too big. And I thought, it would be really nice to give him a pedicure, but it wasn't very practical for me to roll up and say, get in the car, let me take you to the salon. So I just had this kind of daydream about how you could help in that way. And years later, when I was in the process of building Mrs. Goodfoot, I was traveling to Miami for a music festival. And someone had left a copy of the Miami Herald newspaper on the plane. Normally they clean these things off, but it was sitting in the back of the chair in front of me. So I pulled it out and started looking through it. It's the life and style section. And there was a full-page article on a program that they have there for the homeless. It's like a 2 or 3 day thing. Yeah. But the center article was about the podiatry students in the medical university who went and provided foot care for the homeless there. And I was like, oh, that's what you do. You get some other people to come help you and you go where they are. And so I just posted on Facebook, hey, listen, I have this idea to go wash the feet of the homeless downtown at the soup kitchen. Who would come join me? And a bunch of my fellow Bearcats, about 20 people showed up that morning. And we had some danishes and juice, and I had some foot basins to wash feet with, and I brought my tools for some of the advanced stuff. And I said, here's what needs to be done. And everybody just jumped in and found a spot and made it happen that first year.
That is powerful. Very cool. Can you tell us a little bit about how it's evolved? Maybe some of the support you've got from other, people in the community.
Yeah, like I said, the first time we did it, we didn't know who would show up, if anybody would. We had passed out flyers in the park and some of the soup kitchens. And I think that first year we served 32 people. And while it's not about the numbers, one person is a great service. But one year we served over 300 people.
Wow.
And so from that, we've with the concept of good food, good feet, Good Friday, we want people to come and eat. We want them to be nourished because that's a part of their journey. So we provide a hot breakfast now instead of just something sweet like danishes and juice. boiled eggs, sausage patties, cheese grits, biscuits, while they wait to get their feet washed. And so there are a lot of lay people who come to participate in that part of the service. I do a little training session that teaches about the basics of foot care. And then I have a number of other nail technicians and other people that I network with in other states who have traveled here to volunteer, who have brought their tools, who do more of the advanced type service that I do, like I do. They've come from Ohio, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and volunteered to spend the night and then stay the next day to serve with us. We have taken up donations. Bombas has donated over 2,000 pairs of socks for this next year's event. We bought City Pack backpacks that I brought to show you what this looks like. This is a pretty cool project. One year we bought 500 of these backpacks.
Wow.
And this is a City Pack backpack was created by a man in Chicago. He teamed up with Samsonite because he saw a need for people to carry their stuff. And these are made out of a durable waterproof material. It's got their logo on the inside, so it's not identified as like a homeless backpack. There's some special features inside to keep everything dry. And there's a place at the bottom where if they've got a mat, they can roll it up and put it in the bottom. Yeah. To take a nap in the park. There's a strap here where you can hold it on your wrist so somebody doesn't steal your stuff. And then in the bottom, in a little tiny compartment down here, there's a poncho packed away. I won't pull it out, but there's a big poncho that covers you and the backpack. So we made a purchase to have 500 of these on hand. We've kind of gone through some of our sundries of these, so we'll be doing another fundraiser soon to buy more of those so we can give those away on the day of Good Friday.
Those look like an excellent
goodie bag, nice Easter basket. Yeah. Very
cool. Can you tell me a little bit about how this program has impacted you? I mean, it sounds like you've been doing it for a long time, and if you could expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, foot care is my passion. It's my business, and it's what I've spent the focus of my career on. But I know that the homeless community, their feet are their vehicle. So not only does it often get them to food or shelter or maybe even a job, a large part of the homeless community are diabetic and have cardiovascular issues. So, the issues that I see in my business with foot care are essential for this community as well. So it means a lot to be able to give back in that way. As an ancillary project, Clean of Heart, that does a laundry and a clothing bank facility downtown, across from the bus station, got in touch. They were giving us some donations for the blessing bag portion of this backpack, and asked if I'd come over and do some foot care. So, for a while I was going over to do like once a month to see about 8 or 10 people to kind of carry on the mission, so I wouldn't have to wait for once a year for these people to come get foot care. But from a professional standpoint, it means a lot to me that way. But for all the volunteers who come in with a little trepidation about, I don't know anything about feet, and I don't want to touch feet, and I just want to maybe serve some danishes, but to see them jump in and roll up their sleeves and really interact with the community that day and just offer a day of compassion, what they leave with as a sense of giving back is another reason to continue the project.
I've heard stories of people who have participated and they spoke the same thing, so that's really cool. If someone wanted to participate and help contribute, what's some ways they could do that?
Well, GF3.Columbia has a Facebook page. So as we build up toward the event each year, we'll start asking for things that we might need donations for, whether it's food for the breakfast. We also pack a bag lunch to send with our guests as they leave that day. Money that we may need to buy various sundries, or to just jump in and volunteer to participate in the foot care. We post all that on the Facebook page. And really, primarily, that's the way that it spreads. And oftentimes friends bring friends, or people hear about it and bring their church community. So if they need to reach me, they can find me through the Facebook page.
Okay, awesome. Well, good to know. And since you've been kind of working with this, the community of homeless people over the years, have you seen the impact it's made? I mean, how are you received when you guys go out there? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Well, Yeah. The first year, I mentioned Tony Shy, who I had seen years before. The very first year we were doing this, I was over in my corner working away, and I don't know what it was about the conversation over my shoulder, but something just told me to turn around, and he was there. So, I mean, it still breaks me down to think about how God works, because he showed up for the first event. And since then, he's gotten some community help where he's now placed in a living environment where he's safe and getting the help that he needs. So there's that. But we see people return and tell us each year, oh, I couldn't wait to get here because I've got this thing on my foot that I couldn't wait for you to work on. One fella told us one time that he had traveled 30 miles to get to us.
Wow. Goodness.
Yeah. Stories like that make an impact.
With the current climate of COVID and the general situation with distancing, just curious, how that's affected you guys and what y'all's longer term vision is.
Well, this year we were unable to do the foot care portion of our project because of social distancing, and it's hard to do the service without touching someone. So we did take bag lunches and pass out socks and the backpacks, and we served 150 people in an hour that day. But in the future, if this continues to be some constraints with social distancing and people uncomfortable with getting close enough to touch someone, the long-term vision is to perhaps create some type of vehicle where we can go into the community and have a sanitary setup one-on-one, like in a mobile type van where we could see people one-on-one and make sure that it's a sanitary environment.
And so much need for y'all's help and the services you guys are offering. As somebody who wants to come to you for some business and wants your services, where do they find your business?
Mrs. Goodfoot is on Knox Abbott Drive.
Okay.
Again, I have a Facebook page. You can reach out that way. Our phone number is 803-445-1493.
Yeah.
My mother is my receptionist. She answers my phone calls and returns calls to book appointments, so you'll probably have to leave a message because she's retired and she does this around her retirement schedule. But we work by appointment. We stay booked about 8 weeks in advance. I do monthly walk-in clinics for people who are really found themselves in need.
Yeah.
Something's come up and they're in a crisis and can't wait 8 weeks for an appointment. I'll have these little pop-up clinics from 9 to noon or something like that where you can just walk in and get a service. But as far as the charity goes, like I said, we do this once a year on Good Friday, and it's at Christ Central Ministries. They've been gracious enough to open their facility, and we found that logistics work really well working with them for what we need and the community needs. And I'd like to get back to doing the pop-up services at Clean of Heart too. It's just been time constraints with the business and expanding my business with employees there too.
Well, any message to somebody who's thinking about, they want to help, they understand there's, need in the homeless community, any message to them to kind of encourage them to be there for Good Friday?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are so many people who see a need and want to participate and, maybe want to prepare a meal or want to take coats up in the winter. There are often programs that are already in place. There's no need to recreate the wheel. So I'd look for maybe the Inclement Weather Center or Transitions or Christ Central, some of these other places that are already in place to see what projects you could contribute to without having to start over. Many times there are already programs in place to contribute without having to do it all on your own.
I understand. Well, it's it's really awesome to see somebody who did create the wheel and made it happen. And
well, Jesus did it first. I just brought some extra tools to take care of the painful stuff.
Well, it sounds like such a fantastic service and so much needed here in Columbia. So, I appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
And it sounds like you got an amazing business you're operating too. So, kudos to you for making it happen.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.